So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Breakfast Club of New Jersey. And so, with that, I am happy to introduce you to Frank Kovacs, our members membership and meeting um, president and co-founder of the group. So, good morning, Frank.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to what will be our last virtual meeting of the Black Breakfast Club for the foreseeable future. What we're doing is we're returning to in-person meetings effective with our July meeting. The group will continue to meet the second Saturday of every month as we have since we started the group over 22 years ago. The only change is that we'll be in person. For the first time, we will be changing the start time to the meeting. It will no longer be at 8 o'clock with the in-person meetings. It'll be at 9:30. And the reason for that is our new location is the East Brunswick Public Library, and they open their doors at 9 a.m. So you can come at 9 a.m. and have a half hour to do some networking and to get settled in. The actual first meeting will continue to have a presenter every month. We'll start at 9:30 every month. It'll be an hour-long presentation, and then after that, we will do facilitated networking for an hour. So that will wrap us up from 9:30 to 11:30 will be the actual program time, and then we'll have an half hour in the room to be able to collect everything up, finish up any networking, and then turn the room back to the facility. We did go and take the entire conference facility, so they had multiple rooms. There's a podium, there's a drop-down screen. We've worked with them on how we would set up the room. It's very similar to how we were at the Days Inn for many years as far as the configuration. And I've heard the acoustics are very good. So everything should be very well. There's multiple parking lots because that's the municipal center for the Township of East Brunswick. So there is a large parking lot right in front of the library. There's also two others that adjourn that space. So there's another one on the side. But whenever you come to the meeting, you have to enter the front door of the library because that's the only one that will be open. And then as you come in, the conference center is in the rear of the building. They have certain rules. One of them is we can't put up any signage or anything, so there won't be any signs up. Um, in addition to that, they have code of conduct as far as making noise, of course, because they're a library. So when you come in and you direct yourself to the conference center, try as you walk through the library not to make too much noise. And then, we are actually prohibited from having any food or drink. So please adhere to that. We don't want to violate any of the code of conduct standards there. So graciously, Adrian Roman and Brian Mecca, who for many years were our greeters to the people coming to the meeting, have confirmed that they will do so at our new facility. So they'll be there to welcome everybody in and make sure that any questions that people may have are answered at that time. And then we should have a very good run here. The good news is that we avoided a doubling of costs that they were trying to pass on to us at the Days Inn. So this room is more economical for the group because we wanted to keep costs down for the people. It is a $10 fee to come, and that's basically just to cover the cost of renting the room, as well as the library has a policy where we had to have an insurance policy of $1 million to cover the use of the facility. So, unfortunately, there's no way around those two things. So we've tried to maintain keeping it as minimal as possible for the attendees. And Jerry and David, who are our presentation committee, have been working diligently, to continue to have great speakers for us. So there'll be wonderful presentations and topics that I'm sure everybody will thoroughly enjoy. So with that, I'm going to turn this meeting over to Jerry, who will introduce our presenter today and the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining the Breakfast Club today. Welcome. I'm now going to introduce our today's speaker, Jeff Altman. And Jeff points out that people hire him for his no BS job search coaching and career advice globally because he makes finding and succeeding at work easier. He also runs the job search community with video courses, books, guides, as well as job search coaching to help you land your next role. I'd now like to introduce Jeff.
Thank you, and I appreciate you being here this morning. Let me just start by saying it's complicated out there, and to say anything else is to deny reality. Yesterday's jobs report, the headline number looked great, 272,000 new jobs, but you have to dig in to find that there are 640,000, I believe is the number, fewer full-time jobs. And there are about 30,000 more part-time jobs. So where the jobs are being created generally is not for the typical LinkedIn user. They tend to be in areas like government, healthcare, social services, leisure and hospitality, retail and construction. And when you read the actual reports, this is the way it's been for months now. Government disappeared for a little while. It's back in. There's an election coming up. They want to show more jobs. I think it was the second highest category of jobs. And next month, it's going to also look good because camp counselors get hired. So the long and the short of it is, for those of us who are college-educated professionals, we are bearing the brunt of the issues in finding work. It's just the way it is. So using AI as part of your process here is really designed to help you not get ruled out so quickly. So as a quick intro to me without reading here, I used to do recruiting, did it for more than 40 years before I transitioned into coaching. And I don't recruit anymore. I'm out of that game, and I've gone away from the dark side to the light. My podcast has almost 3,000 episodes. I think it's early next month we hit episode 3,000, and my YouTube channel has more than 8,000 videos to help you. It's too much, which is why I created JobSearch.community, which is designed to consolidate a lot of the useful information to make things simpler for people. Now, one thing people always want to know is, can you use sites, can AI access sites like Indeed, Glassdoor, or LinkedIn and get current job listings? And even when you misspell the word listings, it'll recognize the word listings. And this is from Claude, which is one of my favorites. I like ChatGPT. I'm less interested in Copilot and Gemini. I don't need to go into reasons why, but this is what all of them say. No, I don't have the capability to directly access or scrape data from job sites like Indeed, Glassdoor, or LinkedIn. They are without direct internet access. Now, Gemini should have it because of Google participation, but it just takes too long for it to go through the data and analyze it. So as it says, I'll do my best to summarize or analyze content, but I can't proactively search or retrieve job listings. Very disappointing, because it's one of the things that a job hunter would really want. It'll come. So the question is, what do sites like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and Perplexity AI do? And what they really do is they summarize information from other websites and online sources, but they can't directly index or display live job postings from boards. Again, very disappointing. but there's a lot of good stuff from it. So as I ask, if they can't find job openings, what can it do? This is a site called Earn Better. I like this one. I played with it at different times. It does a nice job. It's free, which is astonishing to me. You upload a current resume, and you can use its assistant free, and it'll generate an improved resume and cover letter. Not bad. Not bad at all. You can do this with services like ChatGPT, Gemini, and whomever. But normally what you have to do is either pay for more access, or you're normally better off breaking it down into sections. A site like Earn Better does a very nice job of just working with the resume and doing things simply. Interview preparation. Now, this is a Google site. Grow.google is a site generally for tech professionals, but you can practice interviewing. You can also do that on LinkedIn, where there's an interview prep area for common questions that you ask. So for example, or that you might be asked. So for example, if you click on the jobs tab on LinkedIn, and you look in the left-hand column, which I don't think a lot of people really do, they go right into searching for jobs, but there's an area for interview prep. This isn't bad. And 25, 26 common questions you might be asked on interviews. They're not going to go into the depth like warm-up will around cybersecurity, for example, or other fields. But warm-up is going to give you practice questions, observe your answers, and get more comfortable interviewing, which I think, frankly, is one of the things that's useful for most job hunters. I've always been of the belief that one of the mistakes job hunters make is lack of practice. Especially as we get older, we tend to think, I've done this before, I've gotten hired, no problem. Well, these are very competitive times. And you don't want to blow opportunities because you conduct yourself like amateurs do. For those of you who heard me do my interview framework, professional athletes all practice. Actors all rehearse. Job hunters go on interviews, and the first time the words come out of their mouth are at the interview, and they wonder why they don't perform well. That's what amateurs do. Amateurs don't practice. They think what they can do is just regurgitate a bunch of facts about themselves and land. And a site like WarmUp or the LinkedIn interview prep will help you practice. Another one is interviewsby.ai. And what you're able to do is to select certain functions. As it says, select the role above or paste the job description. I love that part, that you can actually paste the job description in, and it's going to come up with different answers or different questions that you can practice with. I'm just going to pause for a second to ask, does anyone have any questions on what I've been covering so far? If not, my feelings are not hurt, but I just want to make sure I'm not running through too much without opening it up for Q&A.
Well, there's nothing in the chat, but it's an opportunity for folks if you want to quickly unmute and speak with Jeff.
Thank you. I don't bite too hard. And it's seeming like, no, great. I'm doing a good job. I'm clear, concise, wonderful.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to ask you a question. Does this site provide feedback?
Sometimes.
Okay. You see, the value of using someone to help you improve your interviews is the feedback.
Of course.
Because how can you do better if nobody tells you this is okay, but this is a way to do it even better? That's where the power is.
And no argument from me about that. It's one of my values as a coach, as I'm sure it is for you, Alex. You know, we don't just sit there and say, okay, answer this question, and then offer no commentary about it. They're going to give you ideas of what they think is the perfect answer, but it may not necessarily be human in all disciplines. The advantage of a site like this or warm-up is that it's going to cover more areas of expertise than you and I may possess, no matter how many years of experience we have. So I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's real good. I think we do it better, but that's my biases. More. Good to hear your voice, Alex.
Thank you.
And you looked great in shorts in that picture you posted.
Thank you. I
Still
come
got
every
the
time
legs.
to the Breakfast Club. I'm getting compliments.
Hey,
Anyone
Jeff,
else?
James Ledwith.
I'm sorry.
James Ledwith, I have a quick question.
Sure, please.
Could you put in a job description so we can see what it does?
It's a slide. It's a slide, and I'd have to go back to a browser.
And just do a quick
Yeah,
example of what it's like.
it doesn't break if you do it. Just experiment. That's the
Okay.
beauty behind this technology. You can't break it. Now, sometimes, you know, with sites like ChatGPT and the others, we've all heard about hallucinations. And I was experimenting with something yesterday, unrelated to job search, where someone was talking about oil company profits. And I was curious, is it from outside how much of their profits are in the US and how much are outside? And the answer was completely false. You know, it talked about what the corporate profits of this one oil company were, and it was vastly understated. And I commented about it, and it said, "You're right," but I had to know the answer to be able to challenge it. With services and with whether it's interviews by AI or ChatGPT or the others, it's helpful if you have a sense of what the right answers are. Because every once in a while they will make mistakes. They're not perfect. They're not gods. You know, they're technology that's been programmed to assimilate data from people, you know, process it, spit it out based upon questions. And again, it may not be perfect. And for the person who was asking about interviews by AI, have you had a chance to just put in a job description and see how it does? And if not, why don't you do it? Let us know how it goes. It'd be helpful to everyone. Another one here, and this is about visibility on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn likes to see an active participant. Now, I want to be clear, I don't make any money by you using any of these services. I'm not acting as an affiliate. I've done research on different sites and what they can do from an AI perspective to serve. This is a paid site. They give you 10 comments free, but as we all know, the algorithms on LinkedIn like to see participation. I think Donna Svei had posted something for job hunters where she had said 3 things that LinkedIn particularly likes is that you follow a company, that you have an open to work banner on your profile, and let me see if I can remember the third. It may relate to commenting, but those first 2 I know I'm right about. And it's the idea of signaling that you're actively looking for a job. So when recruiters are searching on LinkedIn, recruiters, you know, they all do to try and find people. They're not just waiting for you to apply. They're trying to find you. And the result winds up being, this is one of the signals that they wouldn't be wasting their time in reaching out to you. Here, this is about commenting so that you don't have to do lots of work with it. It will help. I haven't personally tested this. experiment. After all, they're giving you 10 for free here. And it's all designed to raise your visibility on the platform. So here I'm going to start going into some prompts that you can use with ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, any other of the large language models that you might play with. Okay? And we start off with a reminder. As I've mentioned, always check whatever text it generates for accuracy. I didn't make this slide, but I remembered this morning, don't give it any personal information. Seriously, don't give it personal information. Certainly don't give it your social security number. It doesn't need that. So this is a classic prompt. Now, I want you to think that when you're writing a prompt for AI, I want you to think about the micromanaging boss that you always hated, especially when you were young, especially when you knew a lot. And they gave you all the minutia, all the details that you just want to hate them. However, that behavior happens to work well with AI. Now, I have like simple prompts. So this one is act as a prompt engineer. I want you to generate 25 great prompts that would help someone who's trying to find a job. This is the most basic thing that you can ask any of these models. You always try to give it a context within, within which it should be thinking, as though it can really think like we do, but it's processing information from a variety of sources, and they're set up in ways where they like to be guided. So act as a prompt engineer. I want you to generate 25 great prompts that would help someone who's trying to find a job. And the reaction is, certainly, here are 25 carefully crafted prompts designed to help someone. What are some effective strategies for crafting a standout resume in fill in the blank? I have to move this to finish that. In a specific industry. How can I tailor my cover letter to better align with the job description for fill in the blank? I'm going to skip ahead. How can I effectively research a company before an interview? The reactions are really very basic and they're solid, but you can always go deeper. So you can follow up and ask, how can I tailor my cover letter to a better align with this job description? And then paste it in. How can I effectively showcase my soft skills in my application? I happen to love that one because it's designed to illustrate something that a lot of people don't really address. And again, some of these answers are really very simple, but you can always do better, such as, how can I leverage LinkedIn to enhance my job search? Okay, we all know that answer. You've taken enough of these courses from the Breakfast Club and other sites that will help you, but then you can go, I know this, tell me more. Give me more, and it'll dig in deeper. And then you can go, on this fourth point, expand upon that and go into more depth, and you'll get more. So it's not just the first level answer that's important. It's the one that you dig in further. And I'm just going to use number 5 as an example. What are some common mistakes to avoid during a job interview? Okay, that's fine. And it'll give you some version of answer if you asked it to expand. At which point you can say more about that. Tell me more. As a matter of fact, give me 5 paragraphs on this subject. It's fabulous. It is fabulous. So this one I happen to play with ChatGPT with. But the idea, you can use this with any of the large language models to help you expand your knowledge. So another prompt is, what advice would you give for choosing which companies to apply to for this specific role? Let's say a CFO role. So again, the idea is ask it questions. And again, I've given you very basic stuff here. but I want you to dig in deeper once you have it. Follow? I'm just making sure. Any questions or concerns so far? I just want to make sure. And it's sounding like no. Okay, that's great.
Yep.
Yes,
Nothing
David.
again. Nothing is in the chat as a question, but anyone who wishes to quickly unmute may do so.
As I said, I don't bite too hard. And it seems like
I am Sharifa. Can you hear me?
I can now hear you. Yes, a little audio, but worst comes to
Okay.
worst, I'll ask you to clarify it again.
Okay. So it's a simple question. In LinkedIn, there's the open to work banner, right?
Yes.
There is also a way to not show it, but just let the recruiters know about it. So just one comment. That's what I use. And then the other question I have, some LinkedIn usually has this, these are the skills you match to 6 or 7 or 8, your top applicants for the skill, and sometimes you have 3 skills. But then when you look at the skills that they mention in LinkedIn, it's actually kind of like playing words of what you already put in your resume.
Right.
So what's your comment about that?
So let me deal with the second one first, because you have to understand it's technology with a data dictionary. So is that a term that you're familiar with, data dictionary?
Not really.
Thank you. It just helps me to help you. So a data dictionary is terms that are used to define certain things. LinkedIn, like most applicant tracking systems, uses pattern recognition. And as a result, it wants to see its exact terms. It doesn't know synonyms all the time. So you need to give it what it wants. What it's defined as meaningful to it. And they're telling you what makes sense. Give it what it wants. Seriously, give it what it wants. You can add that skill into your profile. And in adding the skill, what you're able to do is align it with a specific job. And we'll look at your background, list all the firms, and it'll ask you, where did you use this skill? Fill it in. In each job category for your LinkedIn profile, if no one's mentioned this to you, or if you didn't know, what you're able to do is put 5 skills under each job. And that's a signal to the AI/LinkedIn recruiter about what your expertise is. So when people are searching, it's another way that they can find you. Now, for the first question, for open to work, recruiters only, I normally tell people that that makes sense if you're currently working. You don't want to signal to an employer by letting the whole world, 1 billion people in theory, see that you're actively looking. So it will tell you point blank that it can't guarantee that your current employer's recruiter won't see it. After all, if that recruiter lies about where they work, they may have it signaled. They may see it, but that's unlikely. My job is to give you information so that you can make a good choice for you. Since you don't apparently want everyone that you know to know that you're looking, keep it on Recruiter. I'll also say, if you're not working, there's no reason to. And you can shift as many times as you like between the 2 options and see what gives you the best service. I do some work for LHH where I present some of their material. Their belief is that they like open to work because it does signal to people from your professional past that they might be able to help you, or they might have an opening and reach out to you. Your choice. Your choice. That's the way it always is. I'm here to offer options, and there's no one answer for every person. Rhonda had 5 skills for each position, and then it went away. Let me just see if I can find that. Each role is the required amount. They give you no more than 5. Now, later on your profile, there's a skills list of your expertise that people can use check boxes to check off about. I'm not talking about recommendations, but there's a skills list later on. You can always add skills there, but it's ideal that it get correlated for a role. And if you go to your profile, you'll see that it will offer you 5 choices. It will tell you 5 as being the max amount. I'm glad I could help, Rhonda. So coming back to this prompt, let me just see if I missed anyone else here. Oh, Lynn, thank you. You're excellent. I appreciate you putting links into chat. Lynn Williams has been adding the various links that I've been sharing into chat if you want to pick those up. Okay. So I've covered this one. What are the common mistakes a person makes on the way to becoming a fill in the blank? Give step-by-step instructions on how to avoid those mistakes, as well as a detailed career path with duration. These are the kind of things that AI can accumulate for you that will help you as part of your search, not just simply for the job, but for your career as well. So common mistakes a person makes on their way to becoming a data analyst. Okay, it's going to tell you about different things that people do wrong along the way. And you can always say, tell me more about number 4 on the list. Give step-by-step instructions on how to avoid doing this. What would be a career path and that you would expect me to spend on my way up? It's fabulous. It will give you lots of information. Now, this is a prompt that's designed to use AI and activate it. Act as a prompt engineer. I'm asking you a series of questions to help me find the job as a fill in the blank. Do you understand? Now, what this does is calibrates ChatGPT, or again, any of the models, in a way that allows it to be prepared to answer your questions specifically for what you want. And this was an answer. Yes, I understand. I'll act as a prompt engineer and help you generate questions to guide your job search as a project manager. Go ahead with your first question. Isn't this wonderful? Give me a list of companies within 25 miles of the 08876 zip code that have tried to hire project managers in the past 6 months. It will do that. Remember, it's not current information, it's older information. And thus what you're able to do is create targets. And that was the thing I was trying to remember. You follow a company, you make them a preferred company amongst your list of firms that activates the AI that Donna Svay had mentioned. Give me a list of companies within 25 miles of the 08876 zip code that have tried to hire project managers in the past 6 months. They may not have a job now, but you can start networking to those organizations and it will serve you. Write a 200-word about section for LinkedIn based on this information, and then paste your professional profile or professional summary and the details of your most recent job. Now, what's fun is, and I'll show you this later on, if you're a premium user of LinkedIn, it too has AI. And you can ask it to evaluate it. You can ask it to rewrite it. It's really fun. But the ultimate thing is you have to feel comfortable about anything that AI gives you, because sometimes it's making stuff up. It's trying, but it's not always perfect. Review it. It may not speak in your voice. It may not talk the way or write the way you might normally write. And thus, what you need to do is edit. Editing is a lot easier than writing from scratch, at least in my opinion. So asking it to write an about section for you is terrific. This is one of my favorites because I am a job search coach. Assume the role of a job search coach with over 20 years of experience. You're tasked with conducting detailed research on the company you're targeting, specifically for a product marketing manager position at fill in the blank. Your goal is to provide the following information: their core business model and how they generate revenue, top 3 competitors and how their products are differentiated, specific tips for candidates applying for product marketing manager positions. This is doing the research for you in more depth than you may normally do. It doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect. It may also overwhelm. You can also dig in deeper. You can also ask, are you sure about this? And they will say, yeah, absolutely, I'm sure about this. But you'll notice, again, it's a research tool. And what it's doing is digging in for you. Now,
there are a couple of questions, Jeff.
Oh, good. Let's pause for that. Let me pull this up now so I can see.
There in chat, there's one from Alex Freund, and then following there's one from Valerie Williams.
Thank you. Lately, I speak with more and more people who want a job career change but do not know how to go about it. Can AI help with that? Yes, I do have a couple of slides on that a little later on. Are you using Bing, ChatGPT, or another AI? I've stuck with ChatGPT on this, but truthfully, the difference between them is trivial. Often I'll use Claude for certain things, ChatGPT for others. I do a lot of writing, so I may ask Claude, which I find better for writing, to give me an outline on a particular topic. And thus, it will do that, and then from there, I can do my writing. With ChatGPT, which I've used primarily for this deck, I find that it does a very nice job, and it's the new product I can't wait to get my hands on. It's called 4.0, and I'm not going to go into the minutia about that, but I'll just simply say it looks like it has some features that'd be really very interesting to me. So with writing a LinkedIn profile, and Alex, I'm going to come back to that in a second, but it's more informational, by the way, with career changers. You're an HR professional with 20 plus years of experience. You know what makes a great resume. I want you to write a great LinkedIn profile with the following sections: about, experience, education, and skills. We're going to have a conversation. Ask me questions, one question at a time, and use the answers to create a great LinkedIn profile. I'll give you the response skip to any of your questions. Don't include that section in your final profile. Start by asking me questions about what do I want to achieve in my profile. Notice this is the micromanager one in the slide deck. Most of the others I've offered you are really very simple. I asked the question, I wanted an answer. You can see the difference here in the depth of the question, the detail of the expectation, and it's going to ask you questions. So this is a great prompt. And again, whatever it gives you, it's a first draft. It has to speak for you and your personality. It does make a difference because when people meet you, everything you've written, everything you've shared with them represents you. And again, if you don't write the way you speak, there could be a disconnect, just like the resumes that present in a particular way. And again, I don't know how many of you have been in hiring situations, but you read a resume, it looks a particular way, and then you meet the person and they don't act or know the same kind of stuff. You have to make it sound like you. So here I'm going to just deal with a cover letter. And again, I mentioned a site earlier, Earn Better, I believe it was, that can do a cover letter. This is, again, one of those detailed ones from the micromanager. You are an HR professional with 20 years of experience interviewing candidates and selecting the most suitable ones. I want you to help me write a short and compelling cover letter to fill in the blank. They'll help me stand out from the crowd of applicants for such and such role. Write it, notice here the tone. Write it in a conversational and human style without being disrespectful. Do not use jargon or corporate language. Write in the way two friendly people would talk to one another. And show that you understand the pressure of the recruiter finding the right person for the job. Make the letter specific to the fill-in-the-blank job description so that it shows my interest and understanding. Talk about relevant skills. You see my point here? We're digging in deeper and giving it lots of guidance. And it concludes with, if this is clear, ask me your first question. So, company, role, skills, and experience, job description. You're giving it the data to work with as well. For a career change, you're an HR professional with 20 years of experience interviewing candidates and selecting the most suitable ones. I want you to help me find another career that I may be suitable for. Ask me questions one at a time to find out about my skills and experience. Then ask me questions one at a time about what I enjoy most about my work and what I enjoy least. Then ask me questions one at a time about my ambitions. Once you have enough information, tell me what jobs I may be able to pivot to and how I can prepare myself for the new roles. For most coaches, this is the part of the job that's hardest, is digging out the notion of what makes someone be interested in a particular job. There is, of course, the industry of assessments, but ChatGPT can do an assessment for someone. You can send a coaching client and ask them to do this and present it back to you without you having to do it. Now, this is from LinkedIn. I'm going to show you a little bit of AI on LinkedIn. And the thing to look at is underneath the green box for Thomas is open to work. There are questions. How can continuous improvement benefit professionals? It will give you answers to pre-programmed questions. You can learn more. I can't click on these. This is part of a slide deck. But the goal here is you can use AI on LinkedIn to give you more detail. And it can also help you with writing posts. So you may read something that someone writes and it may offer you a summary. Now, this is in the About section on LinkedIn, and this happens to come from mine. So you see the thing that says Write with AI? That's a premium feature on LinkedIn. But it will write the About section on LinkedIn. Personally, I'm not really happy with it all the time. I have my own taste in what I want to see. But my thing is, it may not be perfect, but you can edit that into your own voice, because in effect, that's what I did here. I created something using AI and then edited it into my own voice to have it make sense for the people I want to have contact me for work or to work with me. Now, this is on job applications. Notice it says, find me similar jobs. How should I prepare for an interview? That's the interview prep option that would exist when you click more. Tell me more about ExecNet. This is research data. This is additional information that for premium members comes to you. And I think it's a nice thing that you do to pay attention to these options if you are a premium member. If you aren't, usually LinkedIn will give you a 30-day free trial. So experiment with it, see if you think it's worthwhile, make your own decision. LinkedIn doesn't pay me to provide testimonials about their AI or about the platform for that matter. So I want to thank you for coming today. I want to field more questions. If you'd like the deck, I'll send it to you, but first connect with me on LinkedIn and I'll send the deck to you, okay? Questions?
So, yeah, terrific, Jeff. Yeah, this is your opportunity, folks, to have a very interactive session with Jeff, a coach. So please take advantage of that.
Hi, it's Valerie. I have a quick question. I see your LinkedIn is the Big Game Hunter. Is there a reason why you do something like that instead of your own name?
Yes. Years ago when I did recruiting, everyone is a recruiter, or they have elaborate titles, and then you discover they have 2 weeks of experience. So at one point, I decided for myself I wanted to differentiate myself. So I branded the term the Big Game Hunter. I have a trademark for that for job search and a variety of other things. So as a headhunter, the Big Game Hunter was easily translatable to people. I don't remember if Jeff Altman was available, but I wanted to do something more to distinguish myself. So I have another website that uses that term, and the podcast, the YouTube channel, the content there also references me as the Big Game Hunter as well. My personal choice, you do what you want. If you can get access to your name, do it. If you can do last name, first name, do it. More questions?
Oh, I have a comment. Actually, it's a compliment. Jeff, you did a superb job, and I'll tell you why I say that. It was full with content. I love the fact that it's brief. And you have a very calm and soothing voice that you are able to quickly gain the confidence of the listener. So that's a huge compliment. Not everybody has that.
Thank you. My wife would hear me on the phone when I still did recruiting. Her comment to me was, I take seemingly complex ideas and simplify them so people get it. And that's what I try to do here. It's what I've always tried to do in my work, is take ideas that may be intimidating, bring them down to a human level so that you understand. So thank you, Alex. I appreciate you noticing. Questions, comments? I love to be praised.
Jeff, this is Lynn. I just want to say that I got some new links today from you. So thank you. I didn't know about some of these resources. So I appreciate that. And I also want to thank you for coming onto my platform short notice. And also, I know that one of my participants hired you and also landed the job because of your coaching. So kudos. Thank you. Like, you never know.
Thank you. JobSearch.community, I've got 6 tiers of service there. And no matter what you do, you get access to all the video courses, books, and guides. But there's free stuff available to you as well, including, one of my favorites is on elevator pitches, which frankly, I used to hate. Elevator pitches to me were like this residue from the 1980s where people vomited on one another. And I just thought they were absolutely disgusting. You heard mine early on. People hire me for no BS job search coaching and career advice globally because I make the process of finding work and succeeding at it easier. That happens to be true. And it's not long. It's probably about 12 seconds in length. You have your version. So again, there's a video there on elevator pitches. There's one on diagnosing your job search problems that I think is a nice little PDF that will help you recognize where your search is breaking down. And of course, depending upon the tier of service that you choose, you get more or less coaching from me. So again, 6 different choices. You get the content no matter what. And I hope to see some of you there because I am good at what I do. Questions, comments, praise?
I have a question again.
Sure.
Can you hear me? So, okay.
I hear you fine, thank you.
Right now I'm on the job search. I'm trying to pivot back to a position that, well, a career that I had before in investment. I'm right now in finance reporting. I want to go back to investment as an investment analyst. So it's a job that I already know before. I just want to expand it a little bit more. I have good network and I'm keep building good network there. But my question is, it seems that I don't know why, even though somebody helped me to get to the hiring manager, or it seems that there's something in either my resume or the way I present myself or whatever, I don't know. Probably more about my resume because I have not had a chance to talk to the hiring manager that often, that I got rejected right away. So it's the, if I look at the my resume and the job description, there's not much different there, and it's a job that I knew before. So how do I improve this?
So there's a lot I don't know, so I'm going to generalize. How many years has it been since you worked in that role?
3 years.
How many? 2, 3?
3.
Thank you. Again, the connection's a little staticky. So with that, you have to make it easy for them to see your background and want to talk with you. And I suspect what you've done is haven't really connected the dots in the way that they know for sure that you want to do that kind of work. Plus, there's a 3-year gap. They may also think you're more expensive than what they're prepared to pay. That's another factor. If you're trying to directly submit your resume, you might be better served by having someone that you know represent you to that hiring manager and say, look, I know she hasn't done work in this field for 3 years, but she was damn good at what she did, rather than just applying directly. Because when you're applying, what happens is you're going through an applicant tracking system, which is looking for certain terms earlier in a document rather than later. It's looking for multiple instances. Remember I mentioned pattern recognition software? The patterns that applicant tracking systems like is earlier in a document and repetition. 3 years have passed, you probably have different types of work. It's seeing it perhaps on page 2, it may never get to that point because it's not seeing it on page 1. Again, there's a lot I don't know. I'm just trying to give you some ideas of how it may be breaking down, because that hiring manager may never be seeing that resume. The system may be blocking it from ever getting through. I hope that helped.
Thank you.
And David, thank you for translating. More questions, more questions.
And I wanted clarity because some people think of it as the applicant trashing system.
That too. You know, I've had a video on YouTube for years telling people, and I'm going to quote myself here, never, ever apply for a job through an applicant tracking system. It's called the black hole for a reason. The goal is to get around it to a real person. It makes the most, we all know this, but you know, people are almost robotic. Oh, I saw a job, I should apply. And you know, the result winds up being poor results. Try and get around the system to a real person. And especially in that last case, a person who can provide a testimonial for you and your work to a manager who may be reticent because they'll look at, she hasn't done it in 3 years. She doesn't really want to do this. This is a fallback job. Because that's the way they think. They think you're settling for this job because you haven't done it for the last 3 years. They don't know that that's a preference for you. And even if you set it in your resume, they may never see it because the system may block it out. You're always better served by having a referral. And they're better served by referring you because most of them will get an employee referral bonus if you're hired and remain on board for a period of time. More questions.
Can I chime in on that one?
Sure.
Some companies, so I'm going to put this out here. I was one of the 2,200 people that was laid off from Bristol Myers Squibb. So I'm back on the hunt again.
My condolences.
Yeah, this is number 4. I'm on a roll. But I know with BMS, if you put it into the ATS system and then someone wants to recommend you, they can't. So
Right.
if you try to speak to someone internally first, that'll benefit you. And then they can put it in, and then what the system will do is send you a link, and then from that link, then you can put your resume in. So if you can get an internal referral first, it'll really help you. I don't know if every company works that way, but it's best to consider it.
I'm going to tell you an even worse scenario. You went to a job fair in 2002, like post-COVID. You went to the first job fair that this firm ever ran after COVID. Or you got in touch with a recruiter who sent the resume in representing you for a job 2 years ago. That's great. The recruiter did their job. You didn't get an interview. Okay, it happens. 2 years later, you try to have another recruiter refer you to that firm, and you know how that company responds? We know that person, because they don't want to pay a fee. You blame the recruiter. However, it's the company that's trying to slime the recruiter out of the fee. They look bad. They're frustrated, all because you applied 2 years ago. And now they claim that they own the resume. They own the referral. I can't tell you how often that started to happen. It was one of my big frustrations when I did search. That suddenly a firm would say, we know that person. Yeah, from when? And then here's the worst part of all. They're too busy to pick up the phone and call you. They're too busy to send out a message and say, heard some nice things about your work. We'd like to talk with you about such and such role with our organization. What's wrong with this picture? All because they don't want to spend the fee. It's craziness, absolute craziness. And in this market, firms are even more ruthless like that because they hate the idea of writing the check to someone for an applicant that they previously knew. It's awful. More questions, more contributions. I love the fact that you contributed there.
Jeff, can you clarify that? So if I submit my resume on my own for a company that maybe a consultant or another company submitted my resume years ago, they still will pay that consulting company, or
No.
the consulting company
No.
is asking for them to be paid?
No. Let me be clearer. I used an example of 2 years ago, you got referred by a recruiter and nothing came from it. Normally, these firms have agreements with the recruiter that they honor the referral for a certain period of time. Let's say 6 months, just for the sake of argument. Here it is 2 years later, another recruiter is trying to refer you. And some firms, I'm not saying every company, I just want to be clear about that. Some firms are going to try and cheat that second recruiter out of the fee, saying, we know this person already, because they don't want to pay the fee. Is that clearer?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. It's horrible, especially in markets like this where people are just trying to do the right thing and land the job. And recruiters are trying to do the right thing because they've been contacted by a firm that wants their help in hiring someone. And all that's being done is being treated like a tickler file. And if you're not familiar with that term, a tickler file is something that reminds someone of something. So you've tickled them to remind them that you exist. And now they go out and say, oh, we don't have to pay you. We already know this person. It's awful.
I have a question as far as like using AI for PowerPoint presentations. Like sometimes you need to put like a deck together for an interview. Is there specific tools that are better than others to use for
I think it's more an issue of the prompts that you give.
that? Okay.
So think in terms of what you're trying to communicate. And that can guide you, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini,
Okay.
Perplexity.ai, which is also very good. They tend to all be, Gemini has taken some big hits. There's certain things where it's done ridiculous things. To me, it's lowest on my list of things, and other people have different opinions. Experiment and see what each of them generates, because they will all have slightly different tones based upon the prompts that you give.
Okay.
So
Thank
think like the micromanager and tell it what to do.
Okay.
And then you can plug and play from different ones. That's the fun thing about it. You can use one answer from one firm for this part of the deck and another one from a different one for another part of the deck.
Okay. And is there a prompts that give you like the visual, like you say, oh, I wanted this kind of background versus this for a presentation mode?
Yeah, ChatGPT may be a little better at that these days, and
Okay.
and experiment.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. More.
Also, be aware that there are multiple versions of ChatGPT. There's a free version and there's a paid subscription. And the paid subscription is a more current database. So
Okay.
the importance of your project or need may help you choose one versus the other.
Okay. Thank you.
Again, experiment.
Yeah, that was my other question. Like, is there a big difference between the paid and unpaid versions? But I think to your point, you experiment first and then maybe go to the paid if you find not finding what you want. Okay.
Right. Usually a lot of it relates to the version of the product. So with ChatGPT, the new release is 4.0, Omni is what the O stands for. And it does a variety of different things. One is that if you haven't seen the demo of ChatGPT 4 Omni, do it. Watch it on YouTube. It's really amazing. And they're in the process of rolling it out even to free customers. The difference between the free and the paid is the amount of tokens that you can use between the two. And I can't define what a token is. It's kind of one of those amorphous terms that other people know the answer to, and they kind of obscure it. But think of it in terms of the amount of data that you can ask it for at a time. Lynn, I saw something fly by. I just want to make sure I address it. And with ChatGPT, the address is chatgpt.com. With Claude, yeah, that's one option. If you're new to register, you can always go to Anthropic, which owns it. Amazon invested in Anthropic. So if you're someone who sells product on Amazon and you want Amazon to help you with some of the sales copy, you can do that. David, thank you for including my URL again for my LinkedIn profile. Rhonda, I think that's been already covered. David, great careers group, absolutely. Scott Boudreau provides his information. Lynn does as well. Lynn says 80% of jobs are filled as a result of networking. The current number is 85%. Of jobs are filled as a result of networking. So avoid the ATS. Humans hire humans, not bots. Absolutely true. When companies hire, competence is only one thing that they look for. Self-confidence, character, chemistry, maybe a little bit of charisma, because charismatic people always do better than those who aren't. That you care. Would you please mute yourself if you're shuffling paper in the background? That they can connect with you because they want to trust the person that they hire. That often will come as a result of social proof, like being referred by someone, which especially if you're trying to go back to an old career or move to a new career, makes all the difference in the world. So think of it from their standpoint, not what you want, but how you can communicate what you want in a way that they get it. Because otherwise, like so many interviews I used to sit in on, where I would start off by defining what it was that my client was looking for so that they knew what the target was. And then from there, they would start talking as though I hadn't said anything. They would just talk about what they've done. And the idea is on an interview, you have to talk about what you've done that matters to them, not talk about what you've done. You have to connect the dots as early as you can in the interview so that they want to keep paying attention, because otherwise what starts to happen is they lose interest and start thinking about that next meeting that they're going to. Jignesh, thank you. I appreciate the thumbs up. Yes, that is anthropic.com, yes. So they stop paying attention. They start thinking about their next meeting, the fact that they have to meet or call their wife, husband, or partner, the kids, someone sick, they get distracted. You have to always think about what's going to keep their attention so they will even hear the message that you're trying to convey and find out how it is that you fit. Now, again, I'm talking today about AI. I happen to have a great interview course on my jobsearch.community. And, again, it's inexpensive. So the long and the short of it for today is I've tried to show you a variety of different means that you can use AI to help you with your job search. It is by no means all inclusive. There are millions of ways, and I've gone from very basic to very detailed ways. There are some courses on in LinkedIn Learning. I forget the name of the guy who does it. I want to say he's Scottish, Irish, not English, but he has a very good course there that walks you through AI prompts. Take it if you happen to be a premium member. You should do that. It will help you.
What was the name again? I'm sorry.
I don't remember the name of the course, but in LinkedIn Learning, there is a video course that someone teaches about AI and job search. It's really very good. You should take it. If you make a mistake and pick the wrong one, and you get an American, it's the wrong course. But he's a meticulous, detailed prompt writer, and it will help. 3,000 tokens are approximately 300 words in ChatGPT. 3,000 words. Thank you. I'm sorry, Prerna, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm sure everyone else does as well. Can I upload on LinkedIn to make it better? I have LinkedIn Premium. On LinkedIn, uploading your resume, I don't think it'll rewrite your resume. You have to do that elsewhere. So you can do that on ChatGPT and ask it, this is my existing resume. I'm applying for this job. Enhance my resume to make the fit more effective, more obvious to a reader.
And Jeff, I just thought of adding to what you've mentioned. It's been a great insight on AI from a job hunt perspective. I have a little bit of insight from, using AI and the prompt part that you've mentioned. I just thought of adding that GPT is good in summarization of texts. It's very good with texts. And Gemini is more around data. It's good with if you want to deal with any kind of a data or data analysis and feed in data, ask questions, and do graphs around the data. So that's on the Gemini part of it, but it is not as good. I think you've already mentioned on especially the summarization aspect.
Yeah, I've experimented with different ones. I haven't really used Copilot all that much, even though, I downloaded that Copilot when it first was released. I never really have spent a lot of time with it. And that doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just I haven't spent a lot of time with it. I found good results from Bing for a while, and then I got into other habits. So I haven't really spent much time with Bing in recent times. I'm sure it's gotten better because Microsoft is behind it, and they're pulling in, from their investment in OpenAI into their product lines too.
Right.
Last call. Anyone else?
Let's have another question. So this is tied into what you mentioned about talking in the interview, how to keep their focus on you. But I want to ask you about, I was able to set up many meetings with people in the organization that I'm interested in. Now, how do but this is my new contact. So they don't really know me. So when I go and see them, I have to tell them like, okay, I have to explain about myself. So what would be your top 3 suggestion how to make a good impression? And at the end, I want to get them to give me a referral when I apply.
So if I understood the question correctly, you have a referral to someone who might be internal to a firm, who you want to get them to refer you to someone. Did I get that correctly?
Yeah, for when I apply for a position.
So when you apply for a position, we're really past the point where they are going to benefit for presenting you. You want to get to them first and get them to refer you. That's my opinion. And thus, all you're doing is saying, could you work for free for me and help me get in the door? And unless it's their group, and unless they're the hiring manager, why should they do that? Think of it from their perspective. Now, if we're doing this as an informational interview, and you know a position, you can always start off with, hey, thanks for making time to meet with me today or to speak with me. That's human. They're investing 15 minutes in you. Why wouldn't you thank them? I appreciate you doing this. I understand your firm is trying to hire someone with this background, which is pretty much me. What should I know about the organization? What should I know about this role? Do you know anything about the role? Can you help me? Do you know who the hiring manager is? There's a million questions that you can ask if you come across as being curious initially. But if you come across as help me, please help me.
No, I didn't do that.
Let me just finish the point because other people may not have the same perspective as you. If people come across as help me, please help me, no one likes desperation in job search or dating. So you don't want to be the desperate job hunter. You don't want to be the desperate date. And please continue. Thank you for letting me finish the thought.
Thanks.
Is there more? Because it sounded like there was more that you wanted to say, and I just wanted to finish my thought for the others.
No, I think I probably didn't set it up correctly. So these are people I know from that I get connected from my first contact, my new contact, and I want to exactly what I approach them with. Like, I want to know more about your company. I want to know more about this position because I'm interested. But of course, I didn't say to them in the beginning, I want to get your referral. My question is, how do I get there after I talk to them?
Mm-hmm. So my normal joke about informational interviews is to say, I'd like to get some advice from you. I promise I'm not going to ask you for a job, although if you offered me one, I wouldn't mind. And then from there, I want to know more. Now, asking them about the company, why wouldn't you Google that? I always found that the most annoying question that someone could ever ask. It's not like when I started off in recruiting, when people had to go to a library to research old stuff. It's on the internet, it's on LinkedIn. Don't talk about research, finding out more about the company. I know a lot about your firm. I've done my homework about them. That's a better statement to say. What I'm trying to learn more about is what's going on with this. Go specific with them, because that'll demonstrate a more keen question, a more incisive question that they can actually answer rather than the fluffy stuff that you could have found on their company website. And I'm speaking from the perspective of, I still get these contacts from people who want me to tell them about something that they could easily find out. It's annoying. So think of it from their standpoint. If you come in with general questions, they don't like that. It's really a waste of their time. If you come in with specific, that's really good. You know, this is what my background is. Is that what your firm looks for? That's a better question. As you ask me questions about my experience, where do you see a skills gap that I can resolve? Skills gap. We all have skills gap. The job requirements are getting longer and longer, right? You look at job requirements on LinkedIn, it'd be 15 different skills. Where does the firm emphasize in what it wants? What is a typical day like in this department? Ooh, I don't think I could put up with that. That's a good answer for you. I hope that was more helpful. Last call, one more.
Yeah, literally last call, because we're going to move along.
Yes,
folks. Going
and I think we've got last call.
Going. Okay, I'll put the
I
gavel
think I
down.
found an AI trainer, but you said he had an accent. I couldn't really hear if the accent was correct since
I want to say it was
everyone's
Irish or Scottish. It's a guy in his 40s, I believe. I don't remember if he has glasses on, but very capable presenter.
okay. I dropped it in the chat. The one I think it might be is Dave Iris. I'm not sure how that's pronounced,
Let me get the chat.
but he does have glasses on. That helps.
I'm not seeing the name, but it is with a B. Let's see now. If I click on this, it'll take me out of the session onto my browser, which I don't want to do.
Okay, I dropped his name in chat.
I'm missing that part of it. Is it there further? Yeah, that's him.
Dave Burson. Yeah.
Burrs.
Perfect.
BIRSS. That's him.
Thank you.
Okay,
And if
so
you go on his list, he'll send you a series of, what do you call it, prompts that you can use. So he has access to them as, I want to say through a Google Doc that he hosts. And again, it's a well worthwhile course to take. And no, I'm not paid by Dave to give him a testimonial. So thank you for having me. Sorry, this will be my last time here, because unless I'm in New Jersey on the second Saturday of a month, that's it. I'm in Asheville, North Carolina, the profile says. And
well, Jeff, thank you very much on behalf of all of us in the Breakfast Club. And it's very sweet, your parting slide there. Thank you for coming. Well, thank you for coming and being a part of our group and a supporter of our group. You are always a wealth of information. And I also agree with Alex's observation and comment. You provided some easy to understand examples to get us started on our way to using some of these tools. So thank you.
You're welcome, folks. Thank you. And as I like to say when I end my coaching sessions, be great.
Very good. Oh, right. Thank you. And
You're welcome.
so, folks, want to let you know how the Breakfast Club is going to be proceeding over the foreseeable future, which is, as Frank mentioned earlier, we will have our next meeting on July 13th, lucky 13. Janelle Rosino, one of our oldest friends and strongest supporters, will be visiting with us in person at the East Brunswick Public Library, and I also did post the address in chat, and you can download chat right now if you'd like, or we'll be posting it later on our website in the speakers page. She's going to talk about how I journeyed to present day, and she'll speak about kind of how she got to this point in her career as a recruiter. She's an IT recruiter, and talk about the state of the market as well. And also, she's very open to taking questions as well. So if you would like to be able to speak with Janelle, who is an IT recruiter, it'll be a great opportunity to talk with her in person at the East Brunswick Public Library. So hope to see you all bright and early, and bright and not as early. So we will be starting our meeting 9:30 in East Brunswick. So that's exciting.
I would just suggest we change it to one of our longest supporters rather than one of our oldest supporters.
Absolutely true. And so, yeah, you and she are good friends since the start of the Breakfast Club. And so, with that, I want to thank everyone for participating. We are going to keep this session open, but with the recording off in just a moment, and facilitate some open networking and powerful discussions. I hope you can stick around with us. And but until then, for our meeting perspective, we will simply sign off, say goodbye, everybody, and hope to see you face to face in person next month.